Right, okay, let's see how this goes. So painting this today, wet palette. Yep, first ever video broadcasty thing, so I will put my Facebook on. I'm kind of assuming people are watching this, no idea. So generally this could come across as a bit weird. So yeah, let's have a nosy. So get rid of this hair. Go to Facebook. There's a post. Notifications. Okay, so what I'm going to do is go here. That's quite embarrassing, but still. Tale of Painters. Yeah, for anyone who doesn't know, Nudography is a brilliant site for finding nude celebrities. So I'm going to Tale of Painters because I want Deathwing bikes. Ah! Did you mean black cocks? Deathwing. Fucking autocorrect. So, we're going to have a look at, I forget whose guide it is, but we're basically going to steal it. We've sort of been half following it, but at the same time keeping in line with my own kind of scheme. But yeah, so if there's anybody there, I am quite literally just doing this on a whim and having a go, really. So we'll get to some painting in a minute, but I could do with some comments, feedback. If you've got nothing better to do, why not watch? Bike Tale of Painters. There we go. Ravenwing twat. Right, so assuming there's anybody watching this, there's one person watching it, although that could be me. Hello, if you're watching this. Is there somebody watching this? Please add a comment or a like or some way of letting me know you're there. Can I do it? Okay, no. So the one person watching is probably me. It's not Deathwing, it's Ravenwing. Okay, there we go. Dark Angels Ravenwing and Dark Angels Avengers. Here we go. This is the one. So who posted this so we can give props to them? Garfy. Hey, well done, Garfy. Massive fan. That's why I'm posting a live video in your room. If it's not allowed, sorry. Right, so this is what we're doing at the moment. A couple of things. One, I'm fixing that hole. I did a post on here earlier, but basically, somebody is watching. I have to. Hey, a like and a heart. Thank you. This is literally my first time doing this, so I hope you're not bored. So, got some corks today. Tried to pin the bottom of the vehicle and glue them in, and yeah, had a bit of an issue there. So yeah, that's an issue in that the wire is too thin and it just bends when it's sticking in. So fair enough. I got that because I have sweaty palms and don't want to get it all over the model. So as I drilled that hole, I made that hole because I'm an idiot. So what we're going to do is fill that first. But basically, 4 views. Hello, 4 people. I'm actually, 3. Okay, I'm clearly not that entertaining. But basically, we're looking at Garfy's tutorial on how to paint Ravenwing bikes from Dark Angels Vengeance. Except I'm kind of stealing my own idea. So, thank you. Excuse the dogs, he's mental. Cloud, in here. Cloud, come on. Inside. So yeah, so this is the bit we're doing. So we're going to fill that hole, and then we're just going to go with the Eshin Grey and do a glaze on it. So let's crack on with that. Just before we do, here's what I prepared earlier. So this is the... hello, focus please. Come on camera, focus. camera. Let's bring it in slowly. There we go, focus. So here's one that I did earlier, and when I say earlier, I mean about 16 plus years ago. So this is when I used to paint back in my teens, and this is basically probably the height of what I was capable of back then. So we've, you know, it's not too bad, the details in there, and I've managed to paint the acrylic without going into the recesses, so it's quite clear there that you know, that I had a steady hand. The transfers could have done with some work. You can see the edging, I didn't know. The glazing is awful, it wasn't glazing back then. But my general rule of thumb back then for any kind of highlight was basically white. So as you can see, the edge highlighting's in white on the bike. The gun highlighting, although it's appearing orange because of the lighting I'm using, I could do with some lighting recommendations, guys. But basically that's also white. Is it white? Yeah, it's white. So all my highlighting was essentially white. My only way to paint metal with any kind of depth was dry brush the heck out of it. So this is what we previously did, and this is what we're working on now. So already made, let's do it slowly so the camera can focus. Please focus, camera. I'm recording this on an iPhone 5, so if it's rubbish then forgive me. So steadily does it, steadily does it. And again, sorry that there we go. Sorry the picture's so white, so yellow even. I have a horrible bulb, so as I've said, recommendations on bulbs. So you've seen what it used to look like. This is how we're doing now. So the heavy paint on the black is because I was following Garfi's guide, and then I did a wash of Nuln oil all over the black to blend in the highlights, and it just looked shit. So instead what I did was paint over it all in black again. So that'll come out at the end once we put the varnish on, so don't worry about that. And then as you can see, difference wise, so instead of dry brush the shit out of it, which is what that metal looks like, this is more paint it all with lead belcher, put some Nuln oil on it. I've used the original matte, not the new glossy one, because I'm not a fan. And then dry brush a highlight, dry brush a highlight, dry brush a highlight. So you can see much better depth in there. So anyway, let's talk. What we're going to do now is fill that hole. So pop that there, and we'll get some liquid green stuff out of the pot. So, yeah, there we go, liquid green stuff. And what I'm going to do first is put some of these on, because, as I've said, and it disgusts you all, sweaty hands. Right, there we go. So, we do that. I'd show you a model that I've painted with my sweaty hands, and how it's come out, but it's basically just turned glossy, ew, which you don't want. And that's basically due to finger sweat. I've always had sweaty hands, I wear driving gloves, I'm a weird sweaty person. Right, that's just me blowing up the gloves. So, I've got 3 watches. Is there any chance any of you can comment, just because this is the first time I've ever done anything like this? And I don't know, I'd just be really excited to get a comment. Oh, I've got 2 viewers, okay. Sorry, I guess that ask was probably too much. But you know, if any of you feel like commenting or liking or anything like that, please go ahead. So, without further ado, let me just get my gloves on. Look, it's like literally pull the gloves on, then blow them up again, inflate them. Although this is it's just peeling everywhere because I did a layer of varnish last night on a lot of my figures. So it's all over my gloves. I'm just going to get a new glove, bear with me. Aha! Thank you, Antec. I will. Woohoo, first comment, I'm really excited. I didn't think this would actually go down well. Now I know it's not at sort of 10,000 views and things like that, which most people would be, you know, oh god, that's a milestone. To me, a milestone is 1 comment. and 4 viewers. 4 viewers is what we've got at the moment, but I'm really, really excited about that because it's the most I've ever had in this first ever live video I've done. So there's that. Right, let me just blow this glove up again. There we go. Right, we're on. Right, I'm literally putting a set of gloves on. Not the most. Oh, 5. We've got 5 viewers. Yay! At 6. Ah, 5. 5. I'm still happy you 5 are here. Oh, and a like. Get excited. Sorry, I'm like a kid in a sweet shop. This is what it's like. This is why, if you've got sweaty hands, pick another hobby, because putting these things on is a nightmare. So just, there we go. Right, so let's cover a hole. I'm going to give up in a minute and just get sweat all over it. So, liquid green stuff. Rubbish, kind of. It's not as good as green stuff, clearly. But I can't be bothered to mix any green stuff, and this is easier. So, first things first, get an old brush. As you can see, I have a selection of old Citadel brushes. They're my good brushes. But, you know, old tank brush, that brush. Oh, lovely, there's a software update available for my iPhone. We'll go with later. Remind me later, there we go. So yeah, so here's my previous collection of brushes. Some of these are over 16 years old, but what that does is that gives us plenty of opportunity to use things like what I like to refer to as, right, so just to give you an idea of how old these are, the end just fell off my what was a tank brush. So this, a small dry brush as it was once known, is my do everything brush. So this, which is pretty much dead as you can see, is good for applying green stuff, it's good for getting paint out of pots with, so we'll just get a bit of that on there like that. I feel like Neil Buchanan, just a bit of that there like that, and then we'll put a blob of it kind of over the hole but also in the hole. Oh yeah, sorry, one thing I've got to be conscious of now is the camera. Oh, there's loads of it on there, I've ruined it. Right, okay, so we've done that. Again, being conscious of the camera. Still got 5 viewers, really excited. The good thing about liquid green stuff is you can water it down, which is really, really useful. Because it just helps that blending and that smoothing. So there we go, so it's on. The next thing I'm going to do is grab some tissue. And so that it sits in that hole, essentially, I'm just going to wipe it off. There we go, so that's now in the hole. It's also in the crease of the bike seat where we don't want it. So again, wipe it off, but it fills the hole. That's what we want. And then we want something thin and pointy. So we'll grab the back of an X-Acto knife and scrape it out of there. Wipe it off, scrape it out a bit more. Now don't worry about this because it doesn't need to be too neat because I'm going to sand it down, but I'm not getting into that crevice deep enough, so let's use the blade side, being very careful not to destroy the paintwork. Lick my finger and then just start smoothing that out. So there, but it's only on the seat, and the good thing about it is we can always sand it down. I know a lot of people say you can't sand liquid green stuff, that's going to need another coat. I don't know if you can see, but it's still a bit recessed. So yeah, so put some liquid green stuff in there. That's that done. Those of you who just joined us, basically a bit of a note on that is today is the first day I got these corks, and you might have seen my other post in Paint Your Games, which is basically I learned 3 things today. 1, try and find bigger corks, because even if you stand a Space Marine on these, although the way I've seen people do it is to drill the legs and then stick the legs in, it's not really, these corks aren't really big enough for 2 Space Marine legs to go in side by side. So probably get bigger corks would be a start. Wine cork, champagne corks or something that are wider at the top and the bottom, instead of wine bottle corks, would probably be better. So That's idea one. Idea two is get some copper that's actually thick and won't bend when you try and put it in. So now I've just basically got my own little bobblehead bike. So that was a dumb idea. And the third thing is, do not drill a hole straight through the bottom of the bike and then through the seat, which you've spent hours green stuff in and sand in, so that you get a nice smooth seat. I mean, it's not perfect, but you know, and I've probably over sanded that front and took the edge off, but as you can see, there's no crease. And the same in the majority of the wheel. I hate spinning this because it takes the lacquer off, look, but the majority of the wheel, you can't see that normal paint crease in there that you get most times. So I was quite proud of that. And then dumbass here, me, drilled through it. So we're going to start doing some glazing. Now, I'm not very good with glazing. Forgive my pause, I need to vape. In fact, I'm being a little bit... Oh, I've only just noticed. Oh, we had 7, but now we're back to 6 viewers. 7 viewers! 7 again! Woohoo! Hi, 7 viewers. So, we're going to get some... What did I say? Eshin Grey. Just to give you an idea, so I know a lot of people want to know how to organise their paint pots, and I know Games Workshop's expensive, but that's how I organise my paint, is by, about a year ago, buying the Ultimate Paint set. And then... they're just all in here. So, where's my Eshin Grey? Eshin's a layer, so it's in here somewhere. Eshin is a layer, isn't it? It's not a base paint. I do this every time, and it's always Eshin Grey, because I paint my Space Wolves Eshin Grey, and they're always crap. It's always crap to find. So, hi, by the way, if you can see the back of my head. Where is it? It's a grey, so we've got base, dry, layer, is it there? No. Is it here? Some of you, there it is. It's in, for some reason it's in amongst all the metallics. So some of you, well, if there's any of the 7 of you have got this paint set, you're probably screaming at me where it is. Oh, bored people. I'm sorry. I'm down to 4 viewers now. So we did have 7, we're down to 4. So, Eshin Grey. And what we're going to do is, oh dear, we are... Just put the passcode in. We are kind of following Garthy's guide, and we're doing this step, step 2. Now, I've gone ahead a bit because I do things in a slightly different order. I've painted it in more the old style, so back when Raven Wing bikes first came out. Can't zoom. Let's see, zoom. No, come on. This fan isn't good for zooming. There we go. So. Done a bit of a glaze on there, but I'm painting it in the old style, which is basically, as you can see, the Dark Angels green on the petrol tank. Have dude. Not sure what that means is, James, but yep, you have dude too. Yeah, so that's what I'm doing. Fun, have fun. Right, okay. No, it will do, mate. Cheers. So yeah, Dark Angels green on there, but generally for the shading, we are following this guide. So we're going to glaze a shade. This is about the 3rd time ever I've done a glaze, so let's see how we fare. Got a wet palette here. We're going to use our everything brush. This is an old Citadel dry brush, which is dead, but I literally use this for everything. So take that, get some paint out the pot. Like a dab, probably that much, and then put that on my wet palette and just stick it in the corner there. You can tell it's a wet palette when, as you put it down, it starts to sort of recess into itself, and it holds the paint in there, so we'll just get as much of that off as possible. There we go. Rinse my brush off. Okay, out, there goes the lighting, and again, sorry everything's grey, sorry everything's yellow, but I've got shit bulbs. So again, if anybody can recommend a good bulb, just a bulb, not like a big light or anything, if anybody can recommend one, please do. Sorry about the pauses, I keep vaping. There we go, right. As I said before, I probably need to relax a bit, but first time I've done this, so I'm really excited to see what will happen. Okay, second thing we need, one of these droppers, and some with the label that's come off, Liquitex Flow-Aid. Now you can use Le Mans Medium, which I think is different. Flow-Aid I don't think has any sort of like paint, I don't know if it's not pigment, but whatever it is, so, oh, sorry, dogs. Cloud, come on! Cloud, come in! Come on, inside! Yeah, the dogs are just playing outside, so yeah, they're nice to bark. So that's probably a bit more than I wanted, but I was concentrating on the dogs. So yeah, so Flow-Aid gets the liquid off your brush a bit better, whereas Le Mans Medium actually has sort of like the binding agent of the paint within it. So when you apply it to the model, it actually binds better. So what we want is a brush. So I've got some Winsor & Newton Series 7. I don't want a size 4. I probably want a 0 or a 1 for glazing those shades. So that's a 2. This is the only problem. Does anyone remember? I think it was the last series of Games Workshop paints, where Games Workshop the Citadel paintbrushes, and they all had different colours on the end, didn't they? Like, I mean, this is a red brush, but on the back end all had different colours, so you could see from a glance what size they were. Whereas all of these Winsor & Newton Series 7, I mean, obviously one's a big, one's a little there, but all of these are in the same containers. So I've just picked up what's that? That's a 2 and a treble 0. So I've got a 1 or a 0 here somewhere. I might use the 1. Let me keep the 1 there for 1 second. And there's the 0. So that's the end on the 0, and that's the end on the 1. I think for glazing I'm probably going to want to use the 1. So we'll put these brushes away in my brush pot. Oh yeah, and you want to see how to mix the glaze, I would imagine, so I'll go back down to my palette in a sec. Right. Oh great, so what I've done is just knocked my palette and all the Flow-Aid's gone to the back. So you can't quite see the Flow-Aid, but it's a wet palette for a start. I don't know about you, but I've got this habit of licking my brushes. So we are literally picking up some Flow-Aid and then moving it into here and then picking up bits of that, and this keeps it nice and wet, and then we'll just see how much. I mean, that's about right, but there's just not enough of it. But that's almost perfect for a glaze, I think. I don't know, tell me. You have too many brushes. Yeah, I do, tell me about it. I can't throw things away, I'm a hoarder. But let me just show you how many brushes I do have. Like, that is a bottom, it's not the best. Let me just zoom up. It's not the best, but yeah, that is literally full. Will any baking parchment do for a wet palette? Are you from the UK or somewhere else? If you're from the UK, I had a nightmare with it. So what I ended up doing, because I could find baking paper anywhere, but baking parchment is a nightmare to find. In fact, bear with me a second and I'll show you what I did. Oh good, right then Stuart, I'm glad you're from the UK. So, this is what I've got. Bacofoil non-stick parchment paper. Now, I bought about 5 different things about a year ago when I first got a wet palette, and when I found this, it was originally white, so it's brown now for some reason. I didn't realise till after I bought it. But what happened is I bought one of these about a year ago, and I got it from Dunelm, something from Asda, as there's one down the road. I don't know about Asda. I've been to Asda, couldn't find anything at Asda. Oh, thanks Aaron, really appreciate that. Okay, well you take care, mate. Thank you. We're getting there. I don't know if it's a good show yet, but I can talk for England, I just don't know if any of it's entertaining. Anyway, Stuart, get back to you. So about a year ago I bought some from Dunelm. It was white, it was lovely, and it had this. So you know it's a wet palette because it I don't know if you were watching before, but it goes blotchy. So as you pick up the paint, it kind of stays there. Let me just see how many glazes. Yeah, that'll do for a glaze. So we'll pick that up. I'll just move that. So yeah, so about a year ago when I first was looking for this, okay, this could be difficult because the camera's getting in the way of where my brush is. So if I go off screen, I'm sorry. Yeah, anyway, year ago, went to Dunelm, bought the stuff. And the problem with it, at the time it was great because it was white, it looked really good, and it was exactly what I wanted. And then at some point, because I left it in the baking cupboard instead of with my modelling supplies, my wife must have, because I remember she gave one of the several baking papers that I'd actually had away. I think what she'd ended up doing is swapping okay, so you might not be able to see paint going on here, but you see how it's getting wet. I've got a really thin amount of paint because I'm glazing. Anyway, back to the point. So she must have given away one of our rolls of baking foil, but what she must have done at some point is swapped the contents of the roll, because as I came back to it this year, like I've literally had probably about 8 months off because we had a new baby. As I came back to it this year, I went to make my wet palette and it was just going dry, and I was like, what's going off with this? So I think she swapped the parchment with normal greaseproof paper at some point. And what we've ended up with is I've ended up with the greaseproof paper. She's ended up giving away the parchment, but in a different box. And so I had to go out and buy a new one. And I bought a new one, exactly the same, but now the paper is brown, which is fine, but it's just, you know, it kind of throws your eye a bit when you're looking at pigments. So, awesome, bro. If you please make a true support. I'll be greatly sadly. Hey, thanks, Stephen. Yeah, I could do with some help from a 20-year vet. I mean, you know, I've been painting for probably 18 years myself. Well, I haven't. I started painting 18 years ago, and then I think I got to about age 15 and discovered breasts. And all of a sudden, they were more important than my hobbies. And then here we are, 15 years later, and you know, got kids, got married. Yeah, so as you might be able to see, I'm doing a really thin coats because I want to blend it in nicely. But basically, we're building up very, very thin layers of grey, and as you should be able to slightly see, that's changing colour now on the edge. So that's what we want. I got this cork because I thought that would be a better way to hold models. As you can see, I'm not really holding it, so we'll just get rid of that and I'll go back to my traditional thing. I'm trying to do too much at once. So I've added the cork today and trying to do a video for the first time ever. So yeah, so been painting, started about 18 years ago. I actually live in Nottingham, right round the corner from Warhammer World. Which is really, really useful. But I'm actually from a place called Eastwood. I'm just dipping to get more. There we go. A place called Eastwood, which, for those of you who might know, Games Workshop was originally in Eastwood. Their head office was. And I used to go there, like literally from school. My school lunch every day was a trip to Games Workshop, and you could sit in reception there. It wasn't like Warhammer World is now. It was just literally a reception of any old company. Let's just get some more glaze. Look, so we need some more. Where's my medium gone? So it's kind of there. We'll mix that in. Tiny bit more paint. Have I covered it? Yeah, I have. So a bit more paint. Sorry about the angles. I'm not capturing everything because I need to figure it out a bit more, but have we got, yeah, that's a good glaze, isn't it? So you can hardly see it, it just looks a bit darker. So yeah, it was just a reception. You'd go in there, we'd literally go in there on our lunch, nip to the chippy first, get some chips, walk through a small park called Coronation Park in Eastwood, and then we'd sit in Games Workshop reception reading White Dwarf for free. And it didn't really matter because I had a, oh thanks darling, didn't really matter because I had a subscription anyway. So my wife's now thinking, what is he doing? But I'm actually, sweetheart, doing a live video to the Paint Your Games group on Facebook. and I currently have 3 viewers. I've had some comments. It's exciting. Exciting times. So yeah, so that was my life 18 years ago. Discovered boobs. The lady who just went, those are the boobs I discovered. So I went away from my hobby for a long while. And then about a year ago, maybe, no, it was just over a year ago, I got an interview there. It was actually my second interview at Games Workshop. The first time was back when I was about 19, 20, and it was my first proper job I was applying for. So I applied to be a picker at Games Workshop. And I got the job. I was offered the job, but I'd applied for another job at the time with Dixon's, of all places, at their call centre, which was then right behind, and I mean literally you could look out the back window of one and see the other, with a train track in between. You could see Games Workshop from the other one, and I thought, oh well, you know, I'd had an interview there as well, and they offered me a job, and I thought, oh well, you know, computers is a better career than picking things off a shelf for Games Workshop. Now, looking back, I had a good career with Dixon's. I enjoyed my time working there. You know, had some good experiences, met some really good friends. Some of my best friends now are because of that. But looking back, you know, with how Games Workshop has grown, you know, I could have started as a picker there and maybe ended up as something a bit, you know, a bit bigger and, you know, quite important there. That would have been nice. You know, a foot in the door at that place is fantastic. So anyway, I got another interview there about a year ago. I thought, oh wow, this was in an IT job because that was my career path now, just in support. And I got an interview there. Didn't get the job, unfortunately, but before I went for the interview, I'm just mixing some more glaze. That's too dark. So get some more flow aid. Any questions, obviously? And yes, I'm 20, yeah, and I've always had time for the tits as well. Yeah, you got to make time for tits. That's really important. You know, even if there's any females watching, make time for your own tits or other people's tits. But you know, everybody should know, make time for tits. Always make time for tits. Maybe it's looking at them, maybe it's checking them, you know, keep them healthy. But you should always make time for tits. So what I've done here is, I'll get back to the story in a minute, unless it's boring you, I'm just talking, is I've glazed a shade. Now, can we get this in the light to see it? So I'm glazing a shade, but what I'm doing wrong, and I know I'm doing it wrong, is I'm glazing along like this, which basically means the paint is going to dry here at the top of the glaze, so it's where your brush leaves the surface is where you get the darker colour. But also the edges of the brush, so here and here, are going to be quite fat. So you can't really see that. Glazing's not a great thing to put on a camera. So you can kind of see it's not blending from black to grey. It's actually just kind of a lighter solid grey line. So I'm not glazing very well. What I should probably be doing, and please give me advice on how to do this. In fact, Stephen, you might be able to comment on this. Is I think I should be glazing like that. So I'm essentially doing very short glazes, and I'm bringing the brush off right at the edge so that that's where the paint stays. Maybe I'll have to do longer strokes, and that gives you, I think, more of a blend. I tried doing this the other day, but it didn't really work, and this is why I had to repaint the entire black. So I've already done all this, and now I'm doing it again. So if you've got any comment, well, if you're still there, I hope you are. But if you've got any comments on glazing, am I doing it wrong? I don't know. I'm a beginner, really. I'm a beginner who's been painting 16 years. So, well, started painting 16 years ago. So yeah, so I got an interview at Games Workshop a year ago. Didn't get the job, but I got a job at another company, and I love my job. Not many people can say that, but I'm quite proud to say I do. Good team, good people, good role, and it's only 10 minutes from my house. Whereas if I'd got the job at Games Workshop, it's about, well, in traffic it's nearly an hour away, like morning traffic, but I can get there in 20 minutes, I would say, on a good day, without really racing. Right, so there we go. Right, no comment from Stephen. I'm upset if you've gone, but could do with some tips. So literally now just, I again think it's glazing down here. So yeah, got an interview, and I thought, right, well, I can, you know, talk IT with the best of them, but I can't really talk about Games Workshop because I've left it. That's fine. Wife's bringing the washing in. So I can't really talk about Games Workshop because it was 16 years ago when, oh, let me try and get this to focus again. Focus, focus, focus. There we go. 16 years ago when I was last really into it. And yeah, so what can I really say about that? Let's try some glazing. That's a bit dark again. So you kind of want it so you can't really see the colour, which is that. I think, again... Oh, sorry. Hiya, Stephen. So, yeah, 20-year vet. Can you give me some advice on glazing? Am I doing it right or wrong? Because I think, like, I'm doing it like this, so straight along the edge. But what I'm getting is quite a blotchy. I don't know if you can see that. So it's quite blotchy at the edges. It's not blending from black to grey. And I think what I should be doing is like more like this, so the paint leaves the brush on the edge, so that's where the most paint's going. Maybe I need a smaller brush, don't know. So maybe I should be glazing like that, but I'm being lazy. So yeah, what do you think? Should I be glazing like that? Where was I? Boring story about my life that no one cares about. But if I didn't speak, it'd be dead air and you'd all be bored. Probably are bored anyway. I know a few people are because we've gone down to 4 viewers. But thanks to those 4 of you who stuck around. Could do with the oh no, thanks. Sorry, I didn't see your comment that you've already said glazing technique's going well. So thanks for that, mate. Yep, up and down motion is best. Okay, for what? Wait, which one? So we'll say type 1 like this. So this is method 1 of glazing. Just generally pick it up. Or method 2, where I would go to the edge like that and then go like along the edge this way. So that's method 2. So is it 1 or 2? Because I don't think the timing of the video and the your comments are quite marrying up. So I'm not entirely sure. So yeah, so we're glazing there. Glazing, glazing, glazing. So yeah, so I thought, right, I'll nip into Games Workshop and into Warhammer World, whoops, and I will see what has changed. And it turns out quite a lot. I mean, for anyone who wants to have a look at rossgraham.blogspot.com, I wrote, well, I went to write a blog post about it and ended up writing 4. Is that right? Yeah, that's maybe a bit light. Is it light? No, that's fine. So I went to Games Workshop to find out what had... Oh, look, right. So this is my liquid green stuff. For anyone who watched the beginning of the video, that hole that I stupidly drilled through, type 2. Okay, you want to blend the paint. Right, so Stephen, type 2 because you want to blend the paint. Doing type 1 only places the glaze in one line. Okay, so we'll start doing it as you say. Okay, sweetheart. What time is it? You can talk, you know. We're just...
I'm going to have a bath, so I'm going to take the
Okay. Yeah, no worries.
You try and keep them quiet.
Yeah, we'll do. Yeah, you don't have to whisper. Like we are being broadcast, but... Oh, okay. Are you shy?
Yeah.
No, you're not. So yeah, anyway, liquid green stuff. I filled that hole after I stupidly drilled it to put them in, to put it into that. And yeah, so that's a bit of a nightmare. So we're going to try Stephen's blending technique, which is so just like that. So you paint towards the edge and lift the brush off at the edge. So we'll do it this way, like this. This is going to need about 5 or 6 coats. Ah, you can already kind of see it.
One more
So
thing. Don't put the dog beds down tonight. It'll be cooler on the tiles.
will do. Stephen says hi. She says, she waves back. So yeah, I will get to the end of this story. So yeah, turns out a lot had changed. I wrote a blog post about it for anyone. Yep, Stephen, this is already working better because. Oh, are you alright?
Yeah,
Oh, okay. I don't know if you could see, but the paint is already building up. So it's quite light this side and then darker at the bottom here towards the actual edge. So same this way. It's going to take a lot of coats though, isn't it? I might have to re-go over the front. So we'll do that again. So I believe what you should do as well is after one layer, you should bring your brush back a bit so you don't paint all the way to the edge the second time. And that should build up your layers. So we'll go along here. So where were we? Yeah. So went into Games Workshop, spoke to a lovely guy, and I think his name was James. And James, how can I describe him? Average height, I think he's bald, wears glasses, works in Warhammer World. Lovely guy he was, and he spoke to me for about half an hour, and this is when they were doing their rebuild. So they've actually just redone all of Warhammer World, and it's incredible now. It's got like a tour you can go on, 3 stores, so you sort of like walk up through a gallery into the Games Workshop store, the Warhammer World Games Workshop store. Then you walk out into the game floor where all your game tables are, and then they've also got now a Forge World, like a separate Forge World store, and a Black Library store. And then my favourite place in all of there, Bugman's Bar, where you can get food. And I like food. I especially like their food. Except last time, actually. Last time I went, I had the Bugman's burger, you know, for a change. And it was all like dry and crispy. And they normally do a brioche bun, but this was just like a normal bun. And the burger was less like an actual burger and more just, you know, like one of them cheap sort of pates you get off a burger bun. But this was a while ago now, last time I went in there. So yeah, so we're doing your way of glazing, Stephen. Seems to be working better. Let's have a look. Yeah, it is working better. Oh god, how many coats? Can you see that there? In fact, you can only just see it, but this is black. This is grey, and then it gradually gets greyer towards the edge. So that is exactly what we want. So thank you for confirming that. So yeah, went to spoke to James, and James I didn't tell him I was there for an interview. I was just like, look, it's quite covert. And then when I turned up for my interview, I sat in reception of the actual offices, and he walks past, and he sort of like looked at me all stunned as if like, oh, were you a mystery shopper or something like that? I don't know what he was thinking. Spoke to him again since. He never really commented on it, so maybe he doesn't remember. Don't know. Thanks for the thumbs up, and thanks for... We now have 5 viewers. I'm quite excited. So yeah, so before my interview at Games Workshop, I went there and started doing some learning. And, you know, we talked for a good half an hour because there was a lot of changes in place. So things like, for example... when I was into it, I think Warhammer 2nd edition was the one I owned. So that was Warhammer 40,000. I've never really been into Warhammer. I'm about to lose some viewers here until they released Age of Sigmar. I'm sorry, but on the back of that, I've heard the game's the point of contention. Now, I've never really been into the games, if I'm entirely honest. I'm more just like painting things. But I think the thing that's got me into Age of Sigmar is I really like the Stormcast. I think they look good, and I think some of the other models of the other races as well have improved. I did like Undead. I like those guys because there was a Chaos Collector and blah. So yeah, so I was on 2nd edition. Now you've got Dark Vengeance. I think I missed Assault on Blackreach. I don't even know what 3rd edition was. Was that the one with the Tyranids and Space Marines? They've always had Space Marines, haven't they? It's almost like that's the main thing they sell. So just load up my brush again. So yeah, so oh, there we go. That's a lot better. We're getting some colour now. Maybe a bit too much. because we don't really want to be seeing the change. If I'm right, Stephen, we don't really want to be seeing the paint colour change from the glaze till about glaze 2, do we? Like we want to just sort of see, if anything, the only difference we want to see when glazing is the paint sort of getting wetter, so you can see where you've painted. But you don't really want the colour changing in the first glaze, do you? Not too much anyway, it just sort of like lays down some of the pigment. So let's do that. So yeah, so spoke to James. A few of the other things that had changed in the 16 years since I'd last Games Workshopped. The Warhammer Weekly, White Dwarf Weekly, that was never a thing. Back when I added it, it was monthly, you had your subscription. I mean, it's back to monthly now, obviously, but back then, yeah, it was quite a big deal to me to have a weekly. Yeah, Astra Militarum, if that's how you pronounce it. They were called Imperial Guard. I still had a box of. I sold it actually on eBay recently because I thought I'm never going to get around to painting these. Like a Catachan Jungle Fighter box with I think 10 Jungle Fighters, 1 or 2 Sentinels, and a Lehman Russ, which was partially built. And I think I bought that off my mate who bought it back when he played, and I think I got it for like 20 quid. So not bad. Can't really complain at that. Right, so we're just glazing a shade here. Right, where have I done? Where have I missed? Right, so we've done there, Oh, hello, down here, look. That's going to catch light, so we'll get some in there, and probably there. And what I'm going to do is get some along here as well, because that's going to catch some light. So I'm wondering if, Stephen, what do you reckon? Because I've painted in lines to do the glaze on the front wheel, is that going to be like, is that going to have like thick edge lines now? So I'm going to need to probably paint that black again. There you go, so we've done that side. But as you can see, like the glaze is only just slightly on there. That is actually, that to be honest, Stephen, is much, much better than what I had before. But it's going to take forever. So yeah, let's get that on there. So yeah, so went in there. Astra Militarum was new. Everything's now plastic. I was like, what? Sort of cheeky thing. Back when I used to play when I was 16 and we lived near it, my best friend's mum, who's kind of like a second mum to me, if I'm totally honest, worked there. So Christmas times, when my mum would buy my friend presents for me to give him, and his mum would get us presents. It was insane because the metal, oh, you can't even see where I'm painting. The metal figures she used to get for like oh dear, that's way too thick. I didn't check it. Yeah, that's way too thick for a glaze anyway. So let's do that. Let's try it again. Yeah, so that's better. So every Christmas time, she used to be able to get the metal for like cost price of the weight. So it was something ridiculous. I think she said she managed to get, because I remember one year, and this lasted for a good few years, she got me for Christmas I think it was like 5 Dreadnoughts, the old metal ones, 3 Chaos ones, 2 normal, because I collected Chaos and Dark Angels, and a few other bits. I think this was like less than 20 quid she paid for it. Like, that's insane. Less than £20 for like 5 Dreadnoughts and a couple of other bits. So she was definitely, I mean, I didn't even like the guy, but his mum was a great person. I did. He's my best mate. He was best man at my wedding. But, you know, his mum was a fantastic person to know. And I used to beg her, like, his army was massive because she used to, like, buy him stuff all the time. But because I wasn't family, I was a friend, she'd be like, she'd get me stuff at Christmas, and that was it. Bloody woman. No, I'm kidding. I love her to bits. Getting anything at all at those prices is insane. So yeah, so right, so we've done our first. Have I missed anywhere? Painting is best, brother. I'm with you on that. Sorry, I keep missing your comments on that. A commission painter with the business Wicked Paintbrush Studios. You're gonna have to share a link to your website, Stephen, so I can check you out after. You know, it'd be good if you're in the local area as well. You know, maybe have a meet up and you can tell me some stuff. Rubber gloves, sweaty hands are just very neat. No, sweaty hands. Sorry, it's disgusting, but I do get hand sweat. In fact, I did say I'd do this earlier. I'll quickly show you the difference. I hope this comes up. So this is the reason why it's sweaty hands, because I bought these corks so that I could start doing this whole, you know, drilling, sticking some wires in and pinning. I've got another post in Paint Your Games. So I bought these corks, which I think are too small because you can't even really stand the width of Space Marine legs on that cork. So if you were to drill them and stick it in, ooh, hello. If you were to drill the feet and then pin them in. Oh, cheers, Stephen. I'll accept your friend's request in a bit. Chat on Skype. Yeah, that's cool, man. I'm glad you're on Skype because I can talk to you while I'm at work. I'm allowed Skype on my work PC. So yeah, and then drill holes in the bottom, stick some